Not really. And we're live.
Yeah.
Yay! Hey, I'm going to open up the Q&A thing just so I can see this. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's SEO and IPA. It's the fun weekly hangout about inbound marketing, entrepreneurship, and more for cool people of all shapes, stripes, and colors. As always, I am Daniel Barrett from Two Friendly Nerds. That's TWOFriendlyNerds.com, the world's friendliest web design and marketing company. And with me, by my side, as always, is the brains behind the operation, Patty DeLessio from Reinvent Interactive. We like to call her around here the Cal Drogo of SEO.
Yes.
DeLessio, how are you, my young friend?
I'm terrific, Dan. Good to see you.
I came up with that one off the top of my head.
Game of Thrones reference.
We're watching Game of Thrones. We're on the second season now. My wife and I we're getting into it.
I'm not even going to spoil it for you. I just watched the season finale on Sunday.
Oh man, that's yeah. I'm trying. We're gonna catch up, and then we'll be all caught up. It's funny though because as we watch it, she's like, "Oh, I like it less now."
Right. I know why. I know why.
Like, yeah, do you? Because
I do.
her reasoning is like she's like, well, it's like kind of like magic and dragons and stuff, and I'm like, that's the whole point. It's a fantasy thing. That's the thing. And she's like, no, I don't like it as much now because there's like magic stuff happening, and I'm like, you know what I mean? Like she loves the interpersonal political drama of Westeros or whatever, and I'm like, I could give a crap about that stuff. You know what I mean? I want to see people that I have come to care about die in the worst possible way possible.
Right. I thought she was watching it for all the eye candy on that show.
Oh, that too. Yeah, I don't know. Is she into any of the dudes? I don't think so. I'll have to ask her if she's attracted.
She's lying to you. She says she's not.
Lying to me. Who would she be attracted to? Joffrey. She's got a big crush on Joffrey. Loves that guy. What a sweetheart.
How about Cal Drogo? Isn't that the
Cal
really...
Drogo? I had the crush on Cal Drogo.
Right?
The whole time he's on screen, I'm like, I want to be like this dude.
Right?
Just looking around, being like, I will rain blood on your face, and like just he's basically Hulk Hogan and Genghis Khan smashed into one person. Anyway, we should do a Game of Thrones podcast, but
Yeah.
I'll be 3 seasons behind you, and the whole thing will be like, I want to say something, but I can't.
Right. Right.
We want to talk about beer?
Yeah.
All right.
What you got? You go first.
I'm first. Okay, let me open this guy. So I have something that comes out. It's a seasonal thing. This, by the way, is a little branded can opener that my friend gave me, and it is. I'll tell you what. Our bottle opener, I should say. It is kind of bad at opening bottles. I gotta say.
Oh.
So I got one of my favorite seasonal things that comes out, and I got it last year and I really enjoyed it, and that's the Dogfish Head Apra Hop.
Yes.
It's got a cool rabbit on it. The rabbit looks crazy, and it's apricot-y and hoppy, and it's just a really pleasant beer that I just like to drink it every year. I look for it. I saw it comes in those 4 packs, which means it's good, right? If there's only 4, it means it's high quality.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I really dig it. And I started drinking very late in life. I think I had my first drink when I was like 28, something like that. And I decided I was going to start drinking, and I set myself the goal. Like all things, I'm very project oriented. So I was like, I'm going to start drinking. I'm going to learn to drink, because I couldn't drink anything without like going like, So one of the first beer I could ever drink was the Sam Adams Black Cherry beer, which is awful. It's horrible now. And then the second beer that I was ever able to drink was the that Magic Hat number 9.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of reminds. Maybe it's that. Maybe this is like sort of like the better version of that. So anyway, it's good. So if you're into that kind of thing, Apra Hop is quality. Have you ever had this?
I have, and today it's funny. I think today is the day of the put some fruit in your beer, which I don't usually, I'm not always a fan of, right? Too
Yeah, it can really go south very quickly, right?
Yeah. I mean, it has to be like a really good, like, framboise or I don't know. I'm just not a big, huge fan. But anyway, I have a, I don't know if I've had this on here. I don't think I have. We have to start getting a list so we're not like
Yeah,
reset. But this
yeah,
is,
I know. We're gonna double up if we're not careful. Yeah.
I know, because we all, there's the beer that you tend towards that you like, your preferences, and then you end up overdoing it. So this is Clown Shoes, which I think is a great name of a brewer. Have you ever heard of these guys?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've had that beer actually.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a white ale, again, nice summer, something like a nice light. I don't know what the alcohol is in this. 6%, and
Yeah,
it's Clementine.
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 Oh, it says here that they put orange in it.
Clementine.
Orange.
Not orange. Yeah, Clementine. So it's not that fruity. So it's more just like a wheat beer to me. I don't think it's got that much going on. Mm.
Yeah, I think you can
Yeah,
taste them.
it's good. But they have they do really well with their names. Actually, they have a tramp stamp beer, which I think is really funny. And but these guys are really funny. Where are they from? Do you know?
Clown shoes, I don't. I don't. I know you can get them around here, and they're up in Boston and stuff, but I don't know where they're actually.
Oh, Massachusetts. Yeah, Ipswich. Yeah, Massachusetts. Oh, it's Mercury Brewing Company. Okay, Clown Shoes. Anyway, I like it. I don't think it's too orangey. I don't think it's too fruity.
Oh no, and I think that's the key, right? You want to know that it's there, but you don't want to be punched in the face.
Clementine. Yeah, and then right. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
Okay.
I had a couple of drinks already.
All right. Very good.
Very nice. I forgot my little stopper thing, so now it's going to go flat unless I drink it in the middle of the day, which is not appropriate. Anyway, I'll figure out something. Okay, well, this week we are doing. Have we ever talked about this before on this show? I don't think we have.
I don't know if we have. I mean, I certainly do enough of it, so.
Yeah, maybe. So we're talking this week. We're talking about paid traffic, online advertising, as it's known to the masses. And this is a thing that I think a lot of people discount. If you're sort of new to online marketing, a lot of people, I think, they go the traditional sort of SEO, blogging, social media route, which is great, obviously, but a lot of people discount online advertising because they think it's too hard or they think it's going to cost too much, but it's actually a fantastic way of growing your business if you apply some knowledge to it, right? It is totally the way I grew my own consulting practice. It's responsible for a huge piece of my business, and I love it. And in fact, over time, I've come to really like it more than SEO because I'm impatient.
Yeah.
Can pay off very quickly, whereas SEO requires sort of a long game sort of mindset. So, we're talking about paid traffic. If you want to, I don't have my little doodle. What happened to my little guy?
Oh, your name.
Here we go. I just popped it up there, but now it doesn't say.
Hi, Denise. I see Denise is stopping in to say hello.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. You know what I was going to say, as you're doing that, Dan, one strategy, and I don't know if you've ever used this, but is to gain, almost like pay for insights to an SEO strategy by starting off with sort of like a low budget, pay-per-click campaign. Because you can get those insights pretty quickly as far as, keywords and...
Give me an example of what you mean, Patty. So obviously here we're starting off, we're talking about Google AdWords, right? Yeah. Like advertising within Google as opposed to LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever. So how would I do that? If I'm going to set up a Google AdWords campaign to benefit my SEO campaign and just give me some feedback very quickly, how would I do that?
Yeah, well, if you don't know, if you need clarity around either how your ideal clients and customers think about your products, like what they're searching on, what keywords they're using, what language may or may not kind of attract them, what's going to get clicks, what's going to get impressions. One sort of quick way to do that is to create a couple campaigns or a couple ad groups within Google AdWords and test them. You know, it's a real easy way to just test within search. You know, and when I don't have that clarity, I recommend that, you know, to my clients. And sometimes I'll do it for them. I'll even pay for those insights just to kind of get it right. So then you can, you know, use that, bake that into your strategy, select which keywords are performing best within paid, and then apply those, you know, to those landing pages or to, you know, your whole site, your whole keyword strategy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's interesting because, you know, when you run a Google AdWords campaign, this is a lot of what we do, right? There's usually when you start, there's certain keywords you think are going to be your major keywords. But what ends up happening is when you look through how your account's done over the past week, and you can see which keywords actually bring up the ads, or what's in Google AdWords are referred to as impressions, right? How many times people were impressed upon by your ad.
Right.
You know, it's actually often very different, right?
Yeah.
And it's, you know, so that's a big part of that process, right, is sort of looking through and figuring out, you know, what actually works and what doesn't.
Right. Right. Which ones, you know, what's performing better, what's getting the most clicks, what those, you know, those click-through rates are. So yeah, so I'm not sure, you know, how to have this talk today. You know, there almost seems to be like a vocabulary lesson or like a, you know.
Yeah, so let me put up. So, by the way, so if you want to talk or if you want to read this week's article, as always, you can get the link to this week's article at twofriendlynerds.com/hangout. That's twofriendlynerds.com/hangouts. That address right down there. And I'm going to pop this up on the screen. The reason that we wanted to talk about this today was because I saw this article on Search Engine Land, which is about, you know, a sort of it's a conference called SMX Advanced, right, I believe, and they were going over some of the presentations from that conference that were specifically focusing on paid advertising. And there were a couple things that I really wanted to take away. I think that, you know, we can talk about basic kind of paid advertising stuff, right? And I think that's a conversation we can have if you're just getting started. You know, we could do the advanced stuff. I think, you know, maybe we can cover some of the more basic stuff today. Yeah. But I think one of the things that I really took away from this, and it is something that I talk about with my clients a lot, right, is that there are a lot of things that affect what you spend on your ads, especially in Google ads, right? And for the primary driver of that, a lot of the times, besides your bidding strategy, of course, is your quality score. And I think quality score is a very amorphous kind of thing for a lot of people. So I wanted to kind of talk about that really quick. If you're running Google ads, every one of your ads has a quality score for a particular keyword that might pull it up. So if you're you know, and that quality score is based on all sorts of things, like how closely your ad is related to the keyword, how many people click on that ad, you know, the speed at which people bounce back from the landing page, the quality of the landing page, a lot of stuff. But the thing is that if you have a high quality score, and actually the quality scores were rejiggered recently, and the average is now 5. So 5 out of 10 is an average quality score. You have a higher than average quality score, you are given basically a benefit, or you know, similar to like a handicap, like in golf, on your bidding. So you will pay less for the same position as someone with a lower quality score. And the effect that that has on both your conversions and on your overall spend on those ads is really, really dramatic, especially when it's sort of passed over these whole big accounts or campaigns or whatever over time. Right. So, you know, I think specifically I have a client now who I came in, they were spending a lot of money on AdWords, and they were like, AdWords is a great source of traffic for us, and I have really pared them down because they were throwing a lot of money away. And one of the ways that they were throwing their money away was by really pumping money into these keywords where they were unable to compete and had super, super low quality scores. So, you know, we work around that in a number of different ways. But, you know, I go back and forth because I want more people to get into paid advertising. I really do. It's something that I tell my clients to do a lot because it's a very easy way of generating traffic early on. But I think a lot of people are scared off by some of the more technical elements.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Do you find that?
Yeah. I see a lot of my clients doing their own social paid ads for whatever reason. I don't, I think search advertising, such as AdWords, is slightly controversial. You ask really hardcore SEOs, and they'll tell you that those paid ads don't get a majority of those clicks, right? Like the first couple organic listings that come up within a search result page gets the lion's share of the clicks, so don't waste your money on those other ones.
Right, and of course, if you're number one and number two, then you don't need to worry about it. But
Right.
if you're not like 99.99% of all people in the universe.
Right. Right. And I don't know. I'm a little bit not hardened. I think if you have a large budget and you're spending a lot on advertising, I think it's worth paying an expert to manage that media spend, because I think they'll get more for you as opposed to someone who's kind of mulling through it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily advise my clients to just go feed in and figure it out, unless they're of a particular, like they're very technically savvy, or they're very highly motivated, or they have the time to spend on the management of the campaigns, because there is a lot to do and a lot of kind of levers, and it just, Google really wants to take your money. They make it really easy. They send you a lot of emails that say, hey, we've hit our max, give us more money. I think you can overspend very, very easily, I guess is my point. So I think
that's absolutely true. But at the same time, like, if someone comes to me and they say, look, I have $500 to spend on my business.
Right.
I say put it in ads.
Yeah.
The potential of you getting a client from that $500 is much higher in ads than it would be to, for example, hire an SEO for a month.
Yeah.
Or, so it is true that ads are very easy to do poorly, right?
Yes.
And it's a very easy way to spend money, but it's also an opportunity, I think, to make money. And
yeah.
We don't have to talk about just Google ads. We can talk about Facebook ads. I found Facebook ads really, really successful, depending on what they're selling or what they're offering.
Right, and it gets, it really comes down to, how you think about this, because a lot of times when I initially engage with my clients, Dan, there's such a disconnect between how they think about how they should be shown within search and really how their customers think about them or find them or search for them online. I see that I have that conversation every week. So I almost feel like when you're in it, you kind of can't see it. You almost need some kind of advice, or you need a clarity check on how your clients are coming to you. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you have that a lot?
A clarity check about how my clients are coming to me?
Yeah, like, here's my website, I'm not getting any traffic, how come? Okay, well, you're not using the right language on your page. That isn't what your customers are going to use to search for you online.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent. For me, it's much more common that nothing's being done at all.
Yeah.
So not necessarily like they're using the wrong thing. It tends to be more like, I haven't done anything.
Yeah.
My whole website is a picture of a zebra.
Or I have this website, I want to show first for, whatever keyword. And it's like, okay, well, that's either way too competitive, you're not gonna be able to play in that space, or guess what? Somebody's gonna use this other language instead. This is how I would find you if I was looking for you and your services and your products, and then they're like, oh, right, and it's that aha moment happens to me over and over and over again, which is great. Or maybe that's why people end up, I end up in those conversations, is because something's not working, right?
Yeah.
There's some kind of disconnect. But anyway, yeah. So quality score. I found that comment that 5 is the average and not 7 to be interesting.
It used to be that in the Google system, the 7 was their average. It's not that it's like it is the world's average, or maybe it is,
right.
But like that was like their average, and then above 7 was great. So you really wanted to get, it had to be above 7 for you to be good. Now it's like 5 is considered by Google to be normal, and then above 5 is good. Yeah. So I mean, it's interesting because it's very easy to get a bad quality score, but it's hard to tell how to fix it necessarily.
Yeah, it really is, because yeah, because a lot of this stuff is not disclosed, just like search algorithms we don't have much insight into. We also don't, the bidding piece, where you're bidding on those keywords is all a blind bidding. And the quality score, what goes into that is blind, although Google will give you some guidelines, make sure that, relevancy is really huge, right? Where that ad is sent, what's on the landing page. What the keywords are kind of within the ad group, right? Because it's the ad that has the quality score. I've got my ad group up here. I'm seeing a lot of 8s. I don't know how many 10 out of 10s I score, although I'm kind of shooting for that. But yeah, you're right. The benefit to getting the higher quality score is that you'll pay less for those impressions and those clicks, right? Well, the clicks you're paying less for. I see a question here, Dan, about kind of what's the average acquisition price. Well, I guess acquisition is different, Mike, than what you're paying per click, right? So a pay-per-click ad are those ads within Google, right? You're paying only when people click on your ad, but the acquisition price will obviously depend on what the product is and the click. I mean, I have anything within law is like $15, $20 a click. I'm finding a lot of that.
I mean, I think you'll find it. So if we're talking about cost per click, what's the average cost per click? It really just depends on how competitive a keyword market is, right? So for legal terms like divorce lawyers or injury lawyers, you're absolutely right. Your cost per click can be $20. I've seen cost per clicks up to $80. There are, I think we talked in a previous episode about like the list of the world's most pricey keywords, right?
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
You can, you can bring down those costs in a variety of ways by doing geo-targeting or trying for longer tail keywords. But, on average, what I'm seeing is, on average, what I tend to see for most industries is a cost per click that hovers between $1 and $3. And that's if it's fairly competitive and you're doing some sort of, geo-targeting or whatever, that's fairly typical. And you can keep niching that down. You can also lower that cost very significantly by getting a higher quality score. Probably the biggest single tip I can give people if you're talking about getting cheap clicks, one of the best things I can tell people to do is to create campaigns that have exact match keywords instead of broad match keywords. And what that means is that you will only show the ad for a specific term, not variations on that term. So for example, if you do broad match keywords, let's say you're showing an ad for a keyword that's like women's shoes, you will also show that ad for things like women's sneakers or men's shoes. You'll see variations on that. If you do an exact match campaign, you will only ever show for the exact phrase women's shoes and nothing else. And what that does is allow you to create an ad and a landing page that is hyper specific to just that keyword. That alone will like really lower your overall ad spend. Mike asked about average acquisition price, which is the total cost you spend to get a client. That really varies.
Yeah, like cost per conversion, I would say.
Yeah, if you're making tens of thousands of dollars every time you get a client, you can spend $8,000 to get that client. And that really is just going to depend on both your industry and your business model. I try, and this is just a personal thing, I try not to, I give myself usually about like 30% of what I make per client I'm willing to spend on client acquisition. But that's kind of a rule of thumb. It's not necessarily based on anything in reality. It's just kind of like what I'm comfortable with.
Right.
If I'm spending 50% of what I make to acquire a client, then I usually say like, well, okay, maybe I'll put my time into a different acquisition channel, like another way of getting those clients.
Right.
Mike, I hope that answered your question. If not, you can pop a specific thing into the question and answer box. Oh, and by the way, if you're watching this, by the way, on Google, you can pop your comments into the Google Events page, and we'll see it in our question and answers box here, and we will do our best to answer your question live on the air. And Mehmet, I'm seeing from Germany. Wonderful to see you, my friend. And obviously Denise, we said hello to her as well, which is pretty cool. Yes.
Yeah, back to Mike's question though. What's interesting is okay, now you're paying to drive traffic to your site or to a landing page. You know, there's a lot of kind of complexities to think about, and one is, what do you want them to do once they get there? So there's a whole, you know, body of knowledge around conversion optimization. Okay, you've gotten them there. Now let's not waste that click. Let's make sure that they know what they should do, that the page is clean and clear, and we're driving them to the right action to take. You know, there's other ideas to think about too, such as like the lifetime value of a particular acquisition or conversion, right? So it's not just that click, it's, you know, how valuable is that over time, that repeat business. I happen to know that Mike is in a is a product, he's a product company. So you know, so I think paid search advertising might be a great place for him to play in, at least. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would think you'll see if you do an organic search for a product, you'll see a lot of advertisements specific for that product. And I think you're right. It's like, you know, ads are a piece of that puzzle, right? Mm-hmm. Like everything in online marketing boils down to a 3-step process of driving traffic, turning the traffic into leads, and turning the leads into clients. That's all it is ever. Right. And ads is one particular way of driving traffic. I tend to think it's one of the most effective ways because the data you get from it allows you to put everything else in perspective.
Right.
Like if you send ads to a specific landing page, and that landing page puts people into an email sales cycle, and then that leads them to buy from you, you can specific numbers and say, like, all right, because 10% of the people that get in the email list buy, and because 50% of the people that land on that landing page get into the email list, therefore, I need this many people to get in there, I can spend this amount, and you can really draw those lines very closely. And I think part of the challenge for a lot of people with SEO, which is what we normally talk about, is that line is much harder to draw. Because the causation is much harder to pull out. It's much harder to figure out what your real conversion rates are. It's much harder to, for example, determine the value of a blog post. Every time I blog, my business makes X. It's very difficult to figure that out. It doesn't mean there's no value. Of course there is, but it's hard to see it. Where ads, what I love about it is that besides the fact that the payoff can be immediate, the line is much clearer. And it's a much more direct. So you can say, like, I spent X, I made X, right? You can figure that out.
Now that is still controversial, though, Dan, because a lot of SEOs will say, in the end, spending on SEO gets you further than spending on SEM or search engine marketing. You know, I mean, Rand Fishkin is the first one to kind of disagree with yours. They're like, listen, don't, you know, spend more on SEO, you'll get better outcomes over time.
Sure, absolutely. If you're like Rand Fishkin and you have a team of people blogging for you full-time and a social media team and a bunch of SEO tools and you have a year to wait for the payoff, absolutely it's better.
Well, but you know what else? There's metrics abound. There's tons of metrics within SEO as well. So you can still see kind of like instant, you know, those instant numbers as far as, you know, that ROI is what we're talking about, right? The return on investment. You can still see that from organic efforts and from, you know, like you said, your blog and whatever else. But I don't know. I'm, you know, I do both. I specialize in SEO, so I don't know if I would say, you know, if you only had $500, put it into an ad campaign. I follow the numbers. I'm very metric driven. I'm kind of a big nerd that way. You know, to the point that you were making before about where you can see results right away. I like to build my own, you know, kind of business to lead ratio. You know, kind of, and you can even do that organically, right? How much traffic do I need to send to my site to make, to increase my sales by X if this much traffic yields me Y. There's all these numbers that you can kind of dive into even from an organic perspective. Of course, the Google's hiding the whole keyword search stuff from us now because they're pushing the envelope to make us buy that data, right? Right? The whole undeclared keyword stuff within Google. So that's really frustrating. That's where paying for that up front to get that understanding from Google to then be able to use that strategically within SEO.
This will be awesome. You ready? Let's do it. We're each going to start new businesses from scratch. Okay. No existing materials.
Okay.
We start giving $500 of time or whatever. You spend your money on SEO. I'll spend my money on ads to a landing page, and we'll see who sells more stuff. Down at the end of the month, who's going to have more sales? We'll figure it out. I'll ask Rand Fishkin.
Okay.
Hey,
who's done that? Actually, you know who's done that? I think Will Reynolds from I'm gonna look up this study. I think Will Reynolds from Sear Interactive in Philly did this, but at like the $10,000 level. And I think he did this whole, but I'm kind of forgetting what it was. I think maybe it was like paid articles, like paid publication stuff. But it was anyway. I'll look that up. We're gonna follow this up with a dual.
If we were doing that, I would just take the $10,000 and bounce. And I'd be like, I made $10,000.
Yeah.
And then just
there you go. No, but I get it. I'm currently running a whole lot of media budget monthly for my clients for this, and I'm able to track, and phone tracking is another big thing to kind of get really down to the granular bits of what exactly you're paying for, what that return on investment is.
I think I'm kidding, obviously, you're sort of poking fun. I think in reality, obviously, you do both.
Yeah.
Every business needs. I mean, I really believe this. Every business needs to understand, one, the process of paying to acquire clients. I really believe it. If you cannot pay to acquire clients, you don't understand how your business works in the real world, right?
Yeah, we're all marketers, Dan. We're all marketers.
And then, and online ads, I think, is the best way to do that. But that doesn't mean that it's like, whatever, I'm never going to do social media or blog or whatever, because the problem with ads, obviously, is that the second you turn off the money, they stop. And all the money stops. Whereas SEO is more about building assets that can drive you traffic over time you're not constantly paying for. And as you build and build and build on that, it becomes more and more effective, right? So, yeah, I mean, obviously, we're going to do both. I mean, I like to joke around because SEO I often find to be very frustrating, right?
Yes.
But that's primarily because I have ADD.
Well, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not always obvious. It fluctuates. Google throws in an animal constantly. So yeah, I mean, we complain all the time about the struggles and hurdles. Yeah, I see that we have a question from Steve McCready.
Yeah, well, Steve is saying that Steve, remember we talked about this.
Yes.
He did a lot of AdWords to help build his business, and his point is like, it takes me less time to manage my AdWords than it does to blog.
Yeah.
So there's going to be, but then some people, if you're starting off and you don't have, if you don't have an ad budget, you're like, look, I just started. You're not going to spend on ads because you don't have an ad budget, right? So there's going to be, there was a great, I don't remember if it's Plato or Plato or Socrates or one of those that said, different strokes for different folks.
Oh, was that one of them?
One of them. Anyway, we're over, so I'm going to cut this off. But
thank you for sharing that. Sorry, Denise shared the article of the $10,000. I don't know. I'm going to have to look. It might be it.
Cool.
But thank you. I'll look into that, Denise. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, guys. All right. Awesome. Well, if you just tuned in or you're looking to find any of our past episodes, you can find this one at twofriendlynerds.com/hangout, or find our past episodes by searching for SEO and IPA on YouTube. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You can catch us next week. Actually, are we doing next week?
You know, why don't we see? We might be off by maybe an hour, but maybe we can do it together over lunch. Let's see,
Okay.
because I think we have a
So
break at
what
1.
we'll do is, yeah, so we'll post and I'll transmit everybody. But both Patty and I are going to be down in Baltimore for a business seminar kind of thing. So maybe we'll do it next week, maybe not. Please check in anyway, and you can check us in. You can catch us 2 weeks from now. In any case, for sure, at Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time. As always, I'm Daniel Barrett from Two Friendly Nerds, twofriendlynerds.com. Thank you so much.
Yay!
And Patty, thank you as always. It was wonderful to spend time with you.
I get to see you soon, Dan.
Yeah, we're gonna see each other soon. That'd be cool. Maybe we'll do a live one. Thank you guys as always so much. Oh yeah, please remember. Let me get this guy. Optimize responsibly. Yeah, we will see you guys next maybe 2 weeks from now. And cheers, everybody. Bye bye.
Cheers. Bye.